So Bitcoin turning a little bit green here, pushing the 95K region, but we got the big day tomorrow. It's FOMC. Is everybody waiting? Are they trying to front run this move now? So guys, we're looking at altcoins today that are sitting on some big levels. They could bounce right now. Then we've got some lower levels for you that are prepped and ready to go as well. So we got a massive show today. We got FOMC tomorrow. Nobody knows what's happening. Well, I'm going to give you a plan. Okay, let's get right into it. Guys, and remember, as always, hit that bell, hit the subscribe, and hit the like. Okay, it's actually in the other order. But here's James. Okay, here he is. Looking good this morning. Is he feeling... He's actually feeling bullish. I'm going to fill it in for you. He's feeling bullish because the Fed is buying bonds. Is that correct?
$20 billion purchase. Biggest purchase since 2021 today. That's bullish as fuck.
Okay. That's why you're seeing a green candle right now on BTC. But is it sustainable into this FOMC tomorrow? So, guys, we're going to talk about that. Obviously, we're going to talk about so many things here. But let's take a look here. Radium getting rinsed here. Minus 12%. Trump down 5%. Virtual down 9%. Now, remember, things like virtual recover really quickly when they hit some good zones. So, we need to be paying attention to some of these fast movers as well. But overall, I'd say it's been a relatively red day and not the worst thing ever, bleeding into an FOMC day, bleeding into an FOMC event. Not always the worst situation, but what we have seen now is a lot of these alts hitting some very nice zones. And I gave a couple of longs earlier on Chart Hackers about an hour or so ago, and some of these entries are still potentially available for you guys. So we're going to be talking about this in detail. But whoa, look at this candle here out of BTC. A little bit early for me. I was really fancying this 93K a little bit lower down. I really wanted to see this zone get taken here. I've got a VWAP from the lows. I've got horizontals. I've got a 786. This was a massive area that I've been eyeing out all day, looking for a bullish divergence print as well on the oscillator. And the reason that 93 was so important to me was because of this liquidity here on the 24-hour to the downside. So a little bit weird for me that they haven't come and taken it. They just pumped it beforehand, but that is an interesting one for us. So a big zone for me is that 93K, and who knows, we might still get that area tapped for us tomorrow. But in terms of liquidity now, I'm looking at the 1 week. As you can see, that 93 is a big area there. So very surprising they didn't come and clean that out. And then upside, you can see quite a nice ride to the upside now, 98, 99 types level here on BTC. So let's just reassess where we were. So yesterday I gave you 3 rejection zones to watch. And what did they do? They pumped it straight into some very simple, basic TA levels here, guys. A 382 fib, 100 AMA, and a horizontal underside for the rejection yesterday into that push. And that is now confirmed our resistance zone. So 95, 150, that is again our big resistance that we are going to be watching. This could be a possible short zone for you guys as well. Look at our VWAP from the highs acting as resistance here as we go down. So we can treat that as resistance until it gets broken. Then if we start climbing a bit higher, 95, 660 and 96, 200. Those are the other rejection zones of interest to me for BTC. So keeping it super simple. Remember, we got FOMC tomorrow. It's we saw one of the lowest volume days ever on the S&P yesterday, and it almost feels like the market is trying to just wait around for this big news day that is coming. Now, obviously, we've seen the altcoins sell off, and it makes sense. A little bit of de-risking on the altcoins leading into FOMC. So that obviously gives guys like us an opportunity to get a little bit more stuck into things. So let's see what is going on in the news. And yes, today was another normal day in crypto, exactly like this. I feel like this with James every day. I'm going to fend off the bears. There he is.
You pushed me off the wall. Fuck.
Sorry, man. Sorry. Apologies. But we're just getting rid of those bears. We got to get rid of these bears at some point. And, well, this is what we were talking about at the start of the stream here. The Fed just spent $20 billion on 3-year bonds, their largest single-day purchase since 2021. They're injecting liquidity instead of cutting rates to avoid panic. Okay, so the market kind of likes that. We've also got some new trade tariff updates as well. They're talking about deals. Remember, we only James, 35 days into the tariff pause, and now they're talking about a couple of things coming out. Let's see. There he is.
I thought it was like 3,000 days. Feels like it. Fuck me.
I'm tired of talking about tariffs, okay? So what is the latest, just the TLDR? Where are we now?
Well, Besant did a press conference this morning, right? And he's got all kinds of bullish talks saying that they're in heavy talks with 17 of 18 of their biggest trade partners. China is obviously the one they're not talking to yet. He did confirm there's been no talks with China whatsoever yet, but that the others are getting very close, that there could be some of them that actually settle and have concrete deals even potentially this week before weekend. Yeah. So yeah, that's some really good news. And that's what we've needed. We needed to hear that the Fed was doing something, not cutting rates. That's not going to happen. But they use some of their other tools in the tool belt here, start throwing some liquidity at us, and then we get a trade deal or two. Bullish as fuck.
Yes. Oh, I like that. And this is how it should actually say how to make James happy. Okay. This is how you make James happy. Yeah. We just have 1 or 2 green days. Okay. Did you see? He's very, very excited about what is going on. We might unbear him at some point. It will be quite fun. But this is super bullish as well.
Yes.
Jim Cramer says, I don't believe BTC can reach 500K per coin, let alone 1 million. That's improbable.
That was for sure to happen.
That's bullish. That's bullish. In fact, I want to play you guys this. This is such a banger. Wait, we're going to find it again. Hold on.
I wanted to ask you, I hope you haven't invested very heavily in Bitcoin. It looks like it's going down.
We're gonna really enjoy this moment with Kramer at some point when it goes up to that 500,000 USD.
Is that Kramer's wife in the recording?
It's my mom. Okay, this is a voice note. It's somebody's mom. I'm going to play you guys the full track just now. It's such a banger. It's someone's gran or someone's mom saying on a voice note, I hope you didn't invest in this Bitcoin. It's going down or something. And like we turned it, well, not me. A friend of mine turned it into an absolute banger. So here we go. President Trump says he's got an announcement next week relating to the cost of medicine. Is that relevant to us right now? Medical tariffs and things like that?
Well, and that's it. They were talking that there was going to be tariffs on prescriptions, but that's going to put the cost up, not down. I'm not sure how that's good news, but maybe he's negotiated some deals on insulin and stuff like that to make it cheaper for people. I don't know how much it affects the economy.
But what we're focusing on here now today is gold. Now, Trader J just absolutely fucked some shit up in hackers today. How many TPs? 8.
Yeah, just nonstop. Within 59 minutes, hit every single TP.
The guy hit like 8 or 10 TPs now. The people in the hackers, they're like, what the fuck? We don't even want to trade Bitcoin and altcoins now. They just want to trade gold, okay? And this is why. Gold is absolutely ripping today. And you can see whenever that Chinese market opens, look what happens to the price of gold. It starts cooking. And I mean, it's an absolute banger at the moment. So it's China. But things are looking bullish on gold. I would say not short zone yet. I would say there's probably an opportunity to look for a gold short up there, okay? So we'll see how this plays out. We'll see if it starts getting tired in that type of region. We might have to dial down to slightly lower time frames. But right now, don't stand in the way of a freight train. It's looking super bullish again. And upside 3,500. That's going to be our next big target. I suspect that's probably going to be a rejection zone or a reaction zone there for us. And Big DK says, tariff my balls. Okay, let's go. S&P 500, lowest daily volume in over a month today. Under 40 million shares, only happened a handful of times in 2025. Okay, so interesting. Again, people parking, they're waiting. They got FOMC tomorrow. We midway through the Trump tariff pause. Nobody knows really what is happening at the moment. So lots of people are just sitting on the sidelines waiting for some information before they can decide what direction the market is going to go to. And I can tell you what, a lot of people, the TradFi guys, a lot of them are watching this 200-day moving average on the S&P. Look at that. It's this blue line here. A lot of them have their eyes on that. If we clear that 200-day MA on the S&P, it's going to be risk on again. There's going to be lots of guys, fund managers, all sorts of things getting stuck in again. So right now, we are a little bit bearish under that 200-day MA. But if we start breaking that, I think you're going to see an invigorated market. I think things are going to start moving again. So watching this one closely, still not ready to short in terms of the oscillator. Remember, our best shorts are when we get these reversal prints and the divergences. And right now, I don't have that yet on the S&P. So we got to just let this thing play out a little bit more before we get too aggressive on this guy. So I'm waiting very patiently on that. And then an interesting one. Now, I don't have these charts for you today, but this is generally a good sign. 3 on 3 on trend line breaks. Amazon, Meta, Tesla, they have broken their trends now. Is this bullish momentum going to continue? This tells us, if we get that 200-day MA break on that S&P, these are things we might have to turn to because the general market is going to start coming back hard into these magnificent 7 stocks. So definitely something you want on your radars, guys. If you're not watching already, start getting ready, start getting prepped. Remember, we can trade these stocks on BTCC. So just make sure you are signed up and ready to go on BTCC. There is a link in the show description for you guys, and let's trade these stocks. It looks like we could get a little bit of bullish momentum here on some of them. And then a reminder, guys, coin is we've got earnings coming on Thursday. I'm still watching this one. I'm keen to see a sell-off into Thursday on this Coinbase, and ideally this type of region makes a lot of sense to me. Anything from that 50-day MA down to about 185 looking good to me for coin for a possible bounce long play. So we're going to watch that one carefully. If we do have a heavy sell-off this week, 169 is also starting to make sense to me for the next possible level. That'll be a nice inverse head and shoulders as well there for us. Okay, let's go. So Google still sitting short there on BTCC. There's no reason for me to change at the moment. We're still under major resistance. We're under the 200-day MA. As you can see, we're under some order blocks. We're under horizontals. So, no reason to turn super bullish just yet on this thing. And we can see this oscillator has printed a reversal. Might want to turn down. So I'm just going to hang in that short for now. Let's see how that plays out. Obviously, if the S&P blows that 200-day MA, well, then we're going to have another situation on our hands. But right now, for me, still staying short Google. No reason to change just yet. And are we going to get it this week? If we get a decent FOMC, maybe there's a couple of surprises. Are we going to get 100K BTC? And that's the question, because that is our next major resistance zone, and that is our next major short zone, where I suspect a lot of us are going to be looking for some shorts in that type of region. So in terms of our BTC on the 3-day, you can see we had 2 major rejection zones that made sense to me, and we've now closed underneath the first one on the 3-day. If we do get a pump here, guys, 99 to 100K makes sense as another danger zone. And then notable again, we've got a reversal print on our 3-day. Okay, so again, these things can take a lot of time to play out, but it's just little pieces of the puzzle, little bits of information for us that we can start working with. So 99 to 100K, little bit of a danger zone for me. I'd be careful up there in terms of BTC. Okay, so you've got the deal. Okay, Bitcoin at resistance here, a little bit of pressure. Let's get into a couple of things. Now let's talk alts. This is our 3rd day in a row that we've had our 4-hour RSI heat map reset at the lows. This tells us once again that when we get this type of move, we should start watching some of these alts for potential bounces. Now, once again, we have moved into support levels, and those of you might have noticed we got a lot of chop on some of these levels. Some of them printed new lows, but a lot of these altcoins are floating around some interesting areas for us. So you can just look at this, and this tells us that we are gearing up for some kind of reversal. Obviously, we want a sustained move. We don't want a 2 or 3% move. That's annoying. We want the big one, and that is what I'm trying to hunt for you guys at the moment. So one thing that is kind of working against the alts at the moment, where you're going to see a little bit of alt pressure, is this BTC dominance has now broken new highs. Now, this is a serious issue for us. So the last time we pumped into these highs, we got a beautiful rejection, and you would have seen over the last couple of days, we had a beautiful alt pump. Everybody made a little bit of money. The alts pumped quite nicely. We had this dominance reversal. Now we are pumping back up, and you can feel your altcoins are under pressure once again. So reminder, this is a major weekly resistance band, and we are now breaking through it. So this tells me that it's going to act as support at a later stage. So when we do eventually get our rejection, wherever that might be, that is going to be big support for us on dominance. So that is going to be an altcoin warning sign for us later on when this dominance moves back and the alts are pumping and we're feeling euphoric. Remember, when we get back down to the 65% region, down to 64.8, that is going to be a major bounce zone on dominance. So just mark that alarm or set an alarm on your charts, and that's going to be your probably a big TP zone there if we do get euphoric on these altcoins. So something to watch later. Let's look at this on the weekly quickly, just to get an idea as to where we can go. And this is potential hell basically ahead. Okay, so this is quite a smooth ride here on dominance. If we start breaking 65.9, we start pushing into 72.2. Okay, and that is going to be absolutely filthy for some of these altcoins if Bitcoin is falling over. Okay, so something something to watch, okay? Not to panic about just yet, but something to watch. And if it does get really ugly, guys, remember, we've got unfinished business down here, okay? We haven't had this conversation in a while, but maybe it's time. We've got unfinished business in this region, 74 down to 69K. It is still on the table for me. We cannot write that one off, okay? So now you have the basics, okay? You've got the pain train, and now let's get into a couple of fun things, okay? So let's talk ETH at the moment. Now, ETH's Pectra upgrade goes live tomorrow. Now, I mean, whatever, okay? Absolute shit coin for me as well. And does that mean anything to James? I don't know. He's just laughing there in the background. Will it reverse ETH's misfortune? I don't think anything will reverse ETH's misfortune, okay? But right now, you can see ETH is in our first zone from yesterday. Okay, so if you were looking for a bit of a degen scalp move here, a little play on ETH, we are officially in our first zone. Finally, after waiting days for this thing, we are finally in zone number 1, where we could get some kind of ETH bounce in that region. So 1750, guys, we are here. Look at that. We've got a wick fill taking place. We've got a VWAP from the lows. So yeah, I'm expecting a bounce here. You can see they've slammed the brakes immediately, started falling over. They've hit the brakes. We are now on a zone of interest for ETH. And look, it might not be a big move. It might be a couple of percent here into 1850, but that is bounce zone number 1. Then in terms of having a plan B, now, what I'm going to show you guys today is obviously it's very important because we know some of these alts are on some key levels right now, but some of them have some amazing levels one step down. And I'm talking 5 to 10% moves lower down that are ready for the next move. So I want you to look at some of these zones. Now, I'm in a couple of longs in some of these areas. We're testing these zones. If we get another sell-off, there's going to be some big areas that I need you guys to get your alarms on and be ready because we might get some kind of pumpage off these levels tomorrow. Okay, so ETH 2 levels for you, 1750, and then your backup plan is going to be 1700 down to say 1650. Okay, that's going to be your backup zone there on ETH. So if you lose that trend, I did cover this yesterday, but if you lose that trend, you're looking for a bounce, but you're not going to get euphoric. It's probably going to be bearish, and then we maybe go a little bit lower. Okay, so something along those lines. AV says shopping time for alts long term. Yeah, I mean, if we still like hodls, I don't know. Is hodl still a thing? You know, I don't know. Like after that big sell-off recently, I don't know. I'm not such a fan. But Sol, I've got the exact same recipe for you guys. I'm in a Sol long and I'm in a dime long. Now I'm going to explain this dime long to you. Do not long dime. Okay, this is literally an argument I'm having with chaos at the moment. Do not long dime. Okay, you can see it's a small position here. I'm going to explain it to you guys, and you can see I've got my stop in place. So I'm not going to fuck around on this one, but I have taken a Sol long earlier. So I did tell the hackers earlier that I was looking for a super bounce play, and I did tell them I was taking a Sol long earlier today as well in these zones. Okay, so that is what I've got going on there. And in terms of Sol, 2 big zones, 142.3. You can see that region makes sense to me. And again, they've slammed the brakes on. We've dropped into that zone. Brakes are on. And this is our first zone where we say, look, there's a possibility that we start getting a push to the upside. So 142 makes sense to me. And for me, if we start closing under 140, I'm going to cut that Sol position. So I'm not going to stick around very long. 139.9, somewhere around there. If you start closing under that zone, probably bearish for Sol, and then you most likely want to wait and start teeing up something like this tomorrow, sometime tomorrow. I would expect if we do get a bleed out on that US market leading into that FOMC, this could be an absolute banger for you on Sol 133. I've got so much talking to me here. I've got the 50-day MA. I've got a VWAP from the absolute lows. I've got the quantum reactor. I've got horizontals, the 382. There's a lot of confluence there. And by then, this oscillator on the 4-hour will be super reset. Okay, so we are close, guys. I'm telling you, we are close. These are the 2 zones that I'm watching very closely. One of them is going to give you momentum. Okay, one of them is going to be the zone that starts giving you a 3 or 4% pump in the market that I'm expecting, and that is going to give you that opportunity to ramp up the size of the positions and start adding to them and growing the size. I'm expecting it on 1 or 2 of these. I'd be surprised if leading into FOMC we dump much harder than 133, and that would probably be some super bearish shit coming out of the US. Okay, so looking for one of these to hold. That is my plan. Obviously, I'm positioning myself accordingly. I want to see these things work. Now, some of you guys might not know, I've got an accelerator course. If you're watching all the TA that I do, well, I've done it in an accelerator school for you guys, and we called it Accelerator because basically it's short, sweet, and simple for you guys to understand. And I use all my TA and I tie that into some of my chart prime indicators, and I give you a brief overview as to how to use that stuff, and we'll get you guys leverage trading in no time. And one of the things that I teach in the workshop is advanced leverage, and one of the guys you can see has definitely got he basically got the assignment, right? And he said he's changed the game for me, this leverage strategy that I've taught them. And he got $200 into a 20K position size for BONK. He turned $100 into a $10,000 size for PopCat, and took $300 into a 30K size as well. Okay, so that's some leverage tricks that you're going to learn in the workshop. I'm going to teach you guys these things. So if you want to participate in the Accelerator School, guys, it will really accelerate your trading. Go into the show description, click under more, and just sign up to the Accelerator School and join me, and I'll cover that advanced leverage strategy in workshop number 2, okay, for you guys. Now, let's get into, well, let's talk about this dime, because I'm actually in a fight with Chaos at the moment. He put this dog shit on my DMs. Well, not my DMs, but he put this on Twitter yesterday. So we were talking about 2 shitcoins that I used the RSI heat map for. One of them was Blur and one of them was Dime. And Chaos decided to take Blur, and then he had the audacity to post a 13% P&L on 8X. I mean, what is that? A 1% move? Something like that, okay? So he posted that on my Twitter, and I thought, fuck this. He told me Dime was such a shit coin. So I thought, well, I'm going to trade this Dime and see if we can get some kind of move out of it. So this is what I gave you guys yesterday. And I need to blow this candle up now. It's putting me under pressure. But I want this Dime to make 1.5% or something on my 20X, okay? So that I can finish my argument with Chaos. But the audacity of a 13% move on an 8X, I'm offended. Okay, I'm absolutely offended. Okay, let's talk about a couple of other things. 2 zones for you guys on WIF. Now, these are bangers, guys. Like I said before, I'm expecting 1 or 2 of these levels on these tokens that I'm about to show you today. 1 or 2 of them for me should give us that momentum play where we drop into those zones. There's a little bit of a fuck around in the areas, and then there's a big move, okay? And I'm looking for that 3 to 4% initial move on these things, and I suspect it's going to come out of one of these zones. And I think WIF is obviously one of the movers. So for me, this is top of my list here in terms of something I might want to get stuck into if we can drop into the zone. So I want you to have these levels here. WIF 5.2 down to 5.08. That is zone number 1. 5.2 down to 5.08. Set your alarms here. If you drop into that zone, sit forward, pay attention. Okay, we are moving into a reaction zone for you. Look at this 4-hour RSI. That is very close to printing bullish divergence. So the next reversal on this thing, you're going to see that we print a higher low on the oscillator, and we're going to print a lower low on the price action. Okay, so watch that closely. Zone number 1, and then your backup zone, guys, 469 down to about 453. Okay, that is backup zone for you. I'm expecting one of those to deliver. Okay, lower than that, we're gonna have to reassess where we are. Okay, lower than that, I really think there's some bearish stuff happening out there in the market that is not it's not normal. Okay, so I'm looking at these 2 zones. I'm expecting one of them to give us the absolute banger. Okay, same story with AVAX. This thing is still looking it's one of the better looking reversals on the 4-hour, and it's still parking in this order block that we spoke about a couple of days ago. So right now it is under some bear zone. It is under the 50-day MA. It is under a VWAP. It is under a 382. So technically it's a little bit bearish here, but if it keeps holding this zone and consolidates into tomorrow, and we have some decent FOMC situation, then I'm expecting AVAX to do a couple of things. Okay, so one of the ones I'm watching closely here is this AVAX. Support you can use 19.26. 19.26 makes sense to me. And then I've got a backup zone for you on AVAX, and it's going to be a visit to that 0.5 and that wick fill lower down. So 18.8 down to say 18.5 is going to be your backup zone. So make sure you have your 2 zones ready. Remember, zone number 1, you can nibble slowly in those areas. Just get a feel. Let's see if the market is enjoying these levels and leading into FOMC. And then tomorrow, if we get a hard bleed out, guys, we got to be ready on these next zones. I'm really expecting these zone number 2s to hold for us if they do bleed us into those types of areas. Okay, so you got your 2 most important ones. Then another one for me is Super. Now, this thing's paid us really well in the past. It's a nice gaming narrative play, and they all look the same now. We've got zone number 1 on these altcoins looking like an area where we can bounce, and then we've got zone number 2, which is super high conviction zone for us. So Super dropping into order blocks for me right now. It's dropping into the 100-day MA, the 382, and some horizontals. We got horizontal action here as well. So we got a couple of points of confluence. Then our 4-hour has just actually printed this, because I was saying earlier I was waiting for the reversal print. We've now got our first reversal print. That could be a good start in terms of what we can see. And again, a reversal print doesn't mean it immediately starts turning upwards. What you could see is still some kind of divergence play out and maybe print a new lower low on some of these alts. So I just want you to pay attention here, guys. I have started a super position in this area, and I'm going to show you that trade now. I'm doing it on WEX at the moment. And what I'm looking for is this region to hold down to that 100-day moving average. Now, if that region fails, I'm going to look to re-enter lower down 57 down to about 55 makes the most sense for me as in terms of the next level. I've got VWAP, I've got Quantum Reactor, I've got 50-day MA, I've got horizontal in that area. And by then, I would expect a nice bullish divergence print on that 4-hour, and that will be our 3rd one. Look at that. So things will start looking pretty interesting to me on Super if we drop into those zones. Remember, all these charts go straight into Chart Hackers directly after the show for you guys, and you'll have access there. And Dylan Cap shows neutral Bitcoin. Bro, this is my dump cap. Can you not see the warning? Okay, I'm trying to be subtle, okay? I hope you haven't invested in that Bitcoin. Looks like it's going down. Guys, I'm trying to be super subtle here, okay? There's a hint. I'm dropping hints. I suspect we're going to dump, okay? And then I'm going to say, I see I wore the white cap. So here's Super. This was my plan of how I'm doing this one. So if you want to do a laddering in strategy on some of the trades, you can obviously do it on cross or whatever. I'm doing it on isolated here for this one. And you can see I just missed my 2nd order earlier today. So I've got an isolated 10x on Super. I bought 7.5. I had another order at 6180 for 7.5 here on WEX. And if that picks up, then I'll be nicely positioned in that thing. And then it's going to leave me a couple of options. I can either run a stop loss at those lows that I showed you about, or I can do a bit of a DJ and Dave play, as long as my conviction is high enough that I believe the market is going to bounce. And that means I can potentially ride this thing lower down and add to that position and start building size all the way down. So remember, you can get 2 types of trades. You can get the high leverage degen trade where you're looking at a 2% move, or you can get the lower leverage or margin type trade or spot trade where you can start laddering into a position if you believe, or you have that if you have that bias that we are going to get a reversal. So those are the 2 options on the table here for me. You can have 2 separate trades, or you can have one that you just ladder in slowly and start growing a position, looking for that slingshot move there. Okay, so that is what I'm doing right now on WEX, and then we can once this thing starts moving, we're going to play that leverage game. Okay, this beautiful leverage game, we're going to do that again. Okay, and we're going to end up with $50 in a super trade, but we can have like a $30,000 position the minute there is a little bit of momentum in the market there. Okay, so another one I need you to watch, or for me, it's super important, AI16Z. These AI agents, as you know, they've come alive again. They're super volatile and they're great movers. And I think we're going to get an entry on this guy. I'm just waiting patiently here. So I just want to highlight this for you. That one over there for me makes sense. 2.3 down to about 2.18. Makes sense to me on this AI16Z. So that is going to be your first zone of interest. So for me, waiting patiently, there's no trade there until it drops into that region. And then in terms of a backup play for you guys, look at this banger here. I've got a 618, I've got a 50-day, I've got horizontal action, and we also got a backup on an order block in this region. So 190 down to 175. Now remember, these things are super volatile. So what we like to do is go low leverage here, small position, and ladder in slowly into your zone. You don't want to overcommit too early because these things are super volatile, and a tiny move on the chart is quite often 4 or 5% in reality. Okay, so play it safe, and ideally you want to see the full divergences, and you want to see the reversals. Look at that. Here's a divergence print in that situation, and you got a beautiful move out of that guy over there. You can see we had a couple more divergence prints here, and then we did start that move to the upside. So I want to see divergence prints on these things to get a little bit more confidence in hitting that. Shibamax says, when are we hitting the erection zone? Well, guys, you can see the first erection zone is here, 2-3 down to 2-2. Okay, I hope you guys are enjoying that area. Now, who else is here in the chats? Tyler, I've got Brett for you, bro. Here we go. Tyler's asking for some Brett, and I've got it, bro. I've got that chart ready for you. And shout out to the Florida Panthers. What are the Florida Panthers? Is it a ballet team?
Hockey team.
What is it? Is it a hockey team?
The Canadian PM is at the White House. Right?
Okay.
And
okay.
Trump came out yesterday and said he doesn't know why he's coming. It's like, huh? You're not sure why a foreign leader is coming for a diplomatic visit? Isn't that interesting?
Okay, so I mean, what is that? There's a hockey match. What's going on here?
Well, I guess right now it's playoffs and all that. So we've got some team screaming in the chats here.
Okay, nice. Sorry,
ballet team. Yeah, Kimmy's a big hockey fan.
I mean, I knew it was some kind of sports team. I didn't. See, Vander's here again. Hello, Vander. Step into my office. Okay, okay, let's go. Mish, I might have Popcat actually. I think I dropped. I think I dropped Popcat in Hackers this morning. Okay, let's get into some stuff. Okay, here's Link. So I'm still sitting in Link. I've added to my Link position. This thing is now getting it's disgusting at the moment, the size of this thing. And my conviction has to be, well, I mean, I'm so deep in this thing now. It has to be that 12.86 is going to hold for me. So I'm relying on Link to survive any sell-offs now leading into tomorrow, and I'm looking for this move. So interesting to me for Link on the 4 hour is this cash flow is actually starting to trend up. Okay, so that could be an indication that we've got some divergence on the cash flow. So this could be a positive sign for us. It seems to be coming back a little bit, and you can see we are hovering around here on the oscillator. We got double divergence print here. So I'm holding out on Link. I think we're about $180,000 long now on this Link situation. So obviously want to see a big mover out of this guy. So anything down to 12.8 for me, I'm looking for that to hold. That risk right now is 3.9% from here. Okay, so if you want to play the game, it's a laddering in situation. And also at some point, guys, if the market turns filthy, I'm going to have to just swallow it and cut this thing. Okay, so for me, under that 12.86, that's going to be a point where I'm going to start clipping away, and then your backup zone. And I really believe this is going to be a proper bounce zone. If this first region doesn't hold, I'd be absolutely like, I don't know what to say. Okay, 12. It's a big bounce zone for me. It's wick fills here. By then, this 4 hour oscillator is going to be so ridiculously blown out to the bottom. We're going to get some kind of snapback bounce. It might not be the one that takes you to a new high, but you're going to get a 10 or 15%, I would expect, out of the market if we do drop into 12 on Link. Okay, so watching those super closely here. Obviously, I want to see this first zone hold. That for me is the banger, and that's a reasonable dip here into this FOMC. Okay, another one, absolute shitcoin. I'm fully out of NEAR. I've closed the shorts, I've closed the long, and another situation where shitcoin, okay, again, hits a nice reaction zone. Looking for a bigger pump. Where was our final TP here on this NEAR? 2.9. Never got it. What did we reject off? A simple fib. And now we're drifting all the way down. So what I've got for you guys is a revenge play on NEAR. If anybody's ready for it, I've already teed it up, ready to go on 𝗏𝗏𝗀. I've set my orders, and you can see I've got a 2 hour also printing reversals at the moment on NEAR. But I think if you're looking at this chart, this is clear as day. This is going to be your NEAR bounce zone. That's a big area there for me. So NEAR down 2.177 down to 2.14 is going to be the zone. And I've teed this one up on 𝗏𝗏𝗀. Look at that. There's my limit order waiting, 2.166. So if that happens during the night or when I'm not paying attention, it's going to drop into trend, order block, 618, horizontal. And by then, I'm hoping we're going to have a nice big reversal here on this oscillator. Let's take a look at the 4 hour. Let's see how we're looking here. Okay, by then we're going to have some kind of divergence print or something going on this oscillator. Okay, so looking forward to this, 2.166 for me on NEAR, and then a very easy invalidation. Guys, if you start closing under a trend like that, you generally are turning bearish, and this thing is going to go lower down. So it could be a very interesting few days here for us in the market. Okay, let's see what else. Tommy's talking about CAS. Let's see. Dan's got 𝗬𝗰. I do have a 𝗬𝗰 chart. If we got time, I'm going to bang out that 𝗬𝗰. I've got it ready for you. And Tommy, bro, what's going on here? Mia Beam was also in a zone. Okay, I was actually looking at that earlier today. Beam was also in an area of interest. You're going to find, if you're looking at your altcoins, obviously I'm covering a select few alts that I'm watching today. But if you go across the board, you're going to see a lot of your altcoins are sitting on high support regions or reaction zones where you could see something happening in those areas. So play those zones, guys. Obviously, I'm going pretty small in these areas for now until we see this FOMC. We've got to see what is going down on this FOMC. And George, I got stopped on Ondo, bro. I do have that Ondo chart for you. I can cover that one for you. Okay, let's talk S. And this is Sonic. Now, this is a difficult one. It's limited to where you can trade, but you can trade this one on LBank, actually, S. But you can't trade massive size at the moment on LBank on it. But I couldn't find it on WeX and a couple of other exchanges. So if you want to trade S, LBank is probably the best place to get it. And this was the zone I dropped earlier today on X. I dropped this setup here for S, and we waited all day. Let's see how we're looking. Okay, we are now officially in the zone for S. So there's a lot of confluence in this area. We've got Quantum Reactor, we've got 786, we've got Rising Trend, we've got horizontals. So this makes sense to me as zone number one. This is area where you sniff around. Now, remember, we're going into FOMC. Market might be de-risking, but we've also got some bullish news coming out of the States. So there's a bit of a mixed bag at the moment. So I wouldn't be in too many positions right now, but if you are sniffing around, you can see Solana looks okay in that zone. S looks okay in the zone. Link could be okay in that area as well. Things like WIF, we're waiting for the dip lower down and things like that. But in terms of, yes, sir.
You are an asshole.
Apparently, Trump's live on TV at the moment. You know how he does these live streams with the different leaders that come in and whatever. So this will be the fireplace chat with the Canadian PM.
Looking forward to getting rinsed by Trump.
See something here soon. Yep.
Go Panthers. Is that what we say? Go Panthers.
I guess go Panthers. No, go Leafs. Go Leafs.
Okay, so guys, S, very important. You got your two levels. I need you guys to be prepped and ready tomorrow. Remember, zone one fails, you have a backup plan. What is your backup plan? Here's your backup plan. Okay, if you lose these levels now, we are looking at a bounce at 462 down to about 45 is what you're going to be looking at. 462 down to about 45 on this Sonic. Okay, so those are the bounce zones that I'm expecting there leading into FOMC. Then let's talk BONK. I think we got a banger coming on BONK here. I've got double alarm set for you guys. So one more sell off here on BONK. 1533 makes sense to me, and then 138 makes sense to me. These are your two big zones that you want to be watching. Those are the bangers, guys. Okay, those are the big zones. This could be option one, two little leverage trades that you can try in these areas, or option two, you can ladder in nice and slowly in that area. Look for that slingshot on something like BONK. Leading into this FOMC. If it comes out super dovish or nice and bullish at that FOMC, and we've had a bit of a sell-off, I'm telling you, these things are going to bounce. You're going to get a hard bounce out of some of these altcoins. Okay, so that could make sense to me on BONK. This chart will be in Chart Hackers for you guys. Hyperliquid, again, still not coming into my area. This is pain waiting for this thing. It's super bullish. So we're not expecting a massive sell-off on this hype, but it would be nice. 18.67 or 16.9. These are the zones that I really feel will get a nice bounce on this thing. So waiting patiently, but as you can see, we've already got a reversal print now on the 4 hour. So this thing might get aggressive now. So guys, if you want to play the game, you can see there is a trend break potentially here. And this is the plan, okay? This is the plan here for the bulls. If you really want to do this, you might get a break here on hype through the horizontal and the real trade. Remember, guys, the real trade is, are the bulls going to step in when they come back and retest that horizontal. That's really what you need to look at. So if you are taking chances on hype, you're at major resistance. If it pops through, that's generally a little squeeze. Some of the shorts get taken out. Then the price comes back down. And then you want to make sure that the bulls are going to step in that zone. If the bulls do at about 20.6, 20.5, then I think you're on. Okay, then I think you're on for 27 on hype. Okay, but until then, for me, my dream entry, 18.6, 18.7, or 16.9 makes the most sense to me. Okay, that is what I'll be looking at. Then let's go Brett. Okay, here's a little banger here for Brett, and you guys wanted Brett. It's now dropping into one of our first areas. So keeping it really simple here, I've got my rising trend in play. I've got VWAPs, I've got a 0.5, I've got horizontals. This is my first zone. It's about to hit my alarm here on Brett. So for me, anywhere in this 477 down to say that VWAP at 446. Anywhere in that area looks like we could get a decent reaction. Look at our oscillators turning over nicely as well. So things are looking pretty good here for us in terms of Brett. We just want to hold this trend leading into FOMC. Now, where do we get our backup zone? If we start losing levels today, leading into this thing tomorrow, what is our backup level? For me, 415 down to say 3.8. I've got a 50-day quantum reactor horizontal and a 618 in that region for you guys. So that is going to be your zone number 2 there that you are going to be looking at. So zone 1 locked in there. Zone 2, that is your backup plan in case things start falling over for you guys. Okay, let's cover 𝗬𝗰, and I'm still waiting patiently on this guy. Yeah, it's hard to jump in here at these types of levels when you can see 𝗬𝗰 on the daily, guys. This thing is falling over still and might want to come a little bit lower. So trying to be patient here on the 𝗬𝗰. It's very hard because we can see this thing's a proper pumper. But in terms of levels of interest, what you could do, for example, 3.04, watch that area. And then the high conviction zone for me here on 𝗬𝗰 is got to be the zone from 2.8 down to 2.56. That is making the absolute most sense to me on 𝗬𝗰. So if we do get a bleed out, for me, that is a big zone. Okay. Now I want to play you this banger. Wait, you got to hear this banger. This is such a banger. Let me just let me turn this thing down. This is such a banger. So this is a voice note. Someone's mom or something. I don't know the actual context, but it's someone's mom or someone's grand dropped a voice note, and then this guy, such a legend, mixed this song.
Hi. Don't want to fight, but I just wanted to ask you, I hope you haven't invested very heavily in Bitcoin. It looks like it's going down.
Such a banger. Such a banger. Okay, well, I'll use this in the show, guys. Okay, we'll play this a lot.
I wanted to ask you, I hope you haven't invested very heavily in Bitcoin. It looks like it's going down.
Okay, guys, that is a wrap. Okay, that is a wrap from us. You've got your levels. You've got plan A. You've got plan B. And be safe out there. Tomorrow's a big day. I'll be here tomorrow on my regular session getting you guys ready. And I might join Run or whoever's doing the FOMC later on. I might join them for that show later. James, thank you, sir.
Have a good one.
Later, Dan says, the sound like my wife when I bought Doge for the first time. Okay, absolute banger. Guys, see you later. Okay, peace.